Hello, my name is Jaimie Shing. I'm a staff scientist at the U.S. National Cancer Institute. My research mainly focuses on looking at HPV vaccine efficacy and impact over time in the population and health disparities.
Thank you, Jaimie. My name is Racheal Mandishora, so I'm a molecular virologist. I'm currently based at the Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, Florida. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, and I'm an adjunct lecturer at the University of Zimbabwe. My work is on HPV-related cancers. That's why I'm here. Yes, so my main focus is understanding the genomic diversity of the virus and probably just finding ways of putting our findings into clinical practice. And I also look at the natural history of head and neck cancers like oropharyngeal cancers. That's what I work on.
So I'm Andrew Macdonald. I'm a professor of tumour virology at the University of Leeds here in the UK. I'm a basic scientist. I'm a virologist. This is my first IPVC.
Oh, really?
I'm really enjoying it. And my group are really interested in trying to understand what are the critical interactions between the virus and its host cell at the different epithelial sites that really drive viral persistence and ultimately transformation. And we work very, very closely with clinical colleagues to try and translate our research. So actually that's been one of the highlights actually so far of the meeting for me, has been interacting with colleagues who don't work on exactly the same thing that I do.
Wonderful. And you're the organizing committee, and this is your
Yes.
first conference.
Yeah.
You've
I
done a
have
great
I have
job.
a very nice badge.
Yes.
How did you swing that? How did you get onto the committee?
I work quite closely on the DNA tumour virus meeting, which is a very basic virology meeting, but there is overlap with this conference, and I've helped to organise a couple of those meetings.
Okay.
So maybe
Are they
people
the
thought-
ones with Lawrence Banks?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, they
those
are.
are fantastic.
The latest
meetings.
one was in Trieste in
Yes,
Italy, which was
in
excellent.
July.
Yes,
I missed that one.
very, very good. It's in Madison next year.
Okay.
But I was sort of like, we need greater representation of basic scientists
Okay.
at the meeting. So I was charged with trying to develop an inclusive
All right.
program for basic science, which
Yeah.
I think we've had. We've had some
You have
great
an
talks.
attendee here. I'll join
Yeah.
you, Madison.
That's actually something that I've here. Thanks. That's something that I really enjoy about this conference is that there's 3 different tracks that are very diverse, and it covers essentially everyone. And everyone has a space to learn and to be involved. And so it's great for early career researchers who want to come and learn. If like for me, this is my 3rd IPVC now, and when I came here the first time as a PhD student, I was like soaking up all the information. I mostly did descriptive epidemiology, and like I would attend the basic science sessions being like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm like at least picking up on little things, and it's been like a great journey to be part of the conference.
Yeah, I do agree with you. So I'm probably the veteran here. I've been attending the IPVC since 2015.
Oh, okay.
So I've lost count, but I know we had 2 virtual ones. We missed the one in Barcelona and
Yeah.
the one in, Montreal or Toronto. But anyway, the IPVC has been very instrumental in building my career. So I'm now part of the board. I also have a little extension on it. So it's been very instrumental because when I come, I learn a lot from the leaders in the field. And you come with your half-baked idea, I network with the leaders, and when I go back, I feel like I change my way of thinking.
Yeah.
I can realign and refocus my research questions. And like you, I started off as a basic scientist, a wet lab-trained scientist. And as I grew my research, I realized that I needed the epidemiology aspect. So I also am a trained epidemiologist. So when I come to this conference, I get the fine combination.
Yeah.
I attend the public health sessions, the basic science, and then again, because you want to translate both fields, you then attend the clinical.
Right.
Yes. So it's quite exciting. For me today, the highlights were both in basic science and public health. I'll start with the first one. In the morning, I don't know if you attended Carl Munger's talk.
I don't think so.
It was excellent. It was
It
really
was
good.
really good because I think understanding the biology of the virus is very important for us to be able to build interventions. For us to prevent HPV-related cancers, we need to know how the virus is behaving. So I'll talk about one thing that stuck to me. He reminded us of E6 and E7. We already knew that those are tumor suppressor genes. Those proteins are going to find a way of turning off anything that will stop them from proliferation of cells. And then he challenged us. He's like, okay, we know that they're going to, for example, suppress P53. Is there a way of us then thinking of antagonistic ways of re-switching them on? Because once we can, and he put up like a Darth Vader picture, and it's like it's a fight. The virus is a step ahead, we have to be 2 steps ahead of it. So once we know what it does, what can we do to stop it? So it made me think of new ways, because we probably end up having like a linear approach to our research. So that was very interesting to listen to, like, okay, we know that's what you do, papillomavirus, what can we do to stop that? So that was very exciting to listen to.
So I agree completely. So I think one problem with a lot of conferences that we probably all go to is that you're in an echo chamber, aren't you?
Yes.
You're just talking to people who do the same as you, who have the same way of looking at a problem.
Exactly.
So I really enjoyed the multidisciplinary workshops at the beginning of the conference. Actually sitting in a session where I didn't have to get up, leave to go to a parallel session and worry that they were different timings and I was going to miss the talk I was going to. So I really enjoyed listening to Comrade Van Doorslayer's talk, but there were also talks on vaccines, there were talks on epidemiology, and there was a real mix, and the questions from the audience. People were really enjoying listening to things that they might not ordinarily listen to.
And the questions come from all different types of people, like clinicians will come up. And another thing that reminded me of what you were saying is tomorrow I think there's debates. And that's something really interesting because you get to see 2 different sides of a common question that people, might have. So
I look forward to
So
it.
actually, Carl and a couple of the other speakers
Is he
this
debating?
morning, no, but they were really challenged by some clinical colleagues this morning, because they were like, well, how are you going to do this?
yeah.
I think that's one thing we face as basic scientists is the then what.
Yeah.
We get caught up in the very granular science bit right in the cell, but the question afterwards is, how do we put this into clinical
How is
practice?
it translational?
How does it translate?
Yeah.
And so that's been very interesting.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
absolutely. I mean, one other thing I'm really looking forward to actually are the posters.
Oh,
So one of my other hats, I'm an editor of Journal of General Virology.
Oh,
amazing.
And JGV have very, very kindly donated a poster prize.
Oh, wonderful.
So one of my jobs for the rest of the conference is to go around the posters, talk particularly to ECRs
Okay.
who are presenting
Do
their
they
posters.
have like a special section that's set up like these are the ones?
No, they don't.
Oh,
So
it's
actually,
like your silent judge.
and I'm going to go.
Yeah, Michelle,
Yeah. So I'm going to go around. They're not going to know why I'm talking to them, other than that I'm interested in the science and the clinical translational work, whatever they're doing.
Now
So
that
I'm looking forward to talking to the
Yeah.
ECRs.
Now that I know that you're an editor, I attended this really fascinating session today for ECRs. It was all about AI in research. And one of the panelists was an editor. And so he was talking about like how when AI is used to, like generative AI is used to help you write a manuscript, how do editors or, reviewers review that? So what is your take on AI in the papers that you receive?
It's helping a lot of people, but
It
where
is.
do we stop?
Yeah, and I think that's something we're grappling with at the moment. I mean, I didn't attend that session. Again, parallel session issues. But I wonder if it came across that we still don't really know how to tackle the issue, because there's huge potential. And, particularly in workload issues, if you can get the AI to help
We need the help.
you formulate your papers, your manuscripts, but then there's that border, do you cross over the line?
Where's the line?
Yeah,
I think-
where, exactly where
Where
is
is
the
the
Yeah,
line?
so I
know it
think the
is.
key takeaway that I got from that session was that you shouldn't use AI to write your whole manuscript. But if you use it appropriately to help you wordsmith certain things or help you debug some code, you can do that as long as you're transparent and you write about it in your methods. And so that's kind of the key takeaway I got. But it's still a huge ethical debate among the scientific community. So
Yeah, that's a very exciting field. My other highlight, just to change the topic a bit, I attended a session on recurrent respiratory papillomatosis.
Oh, yes.
That was amazing. It was a small symposium, and for me, that's a topic of interest because there are some rare HPV-related disease that we don't talk about, and one of the first few slides, I think it was a speaker from CDC that they were showing us the countries and continents that were highly burdened with RRP. And
Juvenile or adult onset?
they spoke about both.
Oh, okay.
They spoke about both, but I think the heat map was on juvenile, and you could tell that there was nothing much from Africa. And yet I already know that we have a high burden, a high incidence of RRP in two unique groups like HIV-infected children, HIV-exposed, uninfected, and then in some cases, HIV-uninfected, unexposed. So the first thing that I noted is we need to write up data to just show what do we have in these different African countries. But the greatest take-home message from the whole session was how vaccination is able to tackle the problem. So Australia had great data. United States had great data. You can tell that from 2005, maybe children born in 2005, and then 2014, we had almost cleared the cases of RRP in those settings.
Wow.
So again, takes me back to my setting. In Zimbabwe, we're using the bivalent vaccine, just 16, 18. And we all know that RRP is caused by HPV 6 and 11.
Yeah.
So this is something that we need to do to make sure that we choose a vaccine that's going to prevent more than just cervical cancer. And sometimes, I mean, cervical cancer has got the highest burden, fair enough, but there are some other HPV-related disease that we're not talking about. So that was really a highlight, and I was like, oh, I need to write up a proposal on RRP.
It inspired you.
It really inspired me.
I mean, that's the issue, though, isn't it? It's like there's all these forgotten diseases
True.
that are horrible.
Exactly.
You know, they might not affect a huge number of people,
Yeah.
but for those that they do affect, they're really, really
It's horrible.
life-destroying
There
diseases.
was one child who had almost 100 surgeries.
Yeah.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
it's recurrent, it keeps on coming back, and that's really heartbreaking.
Yeah. But I mean, it also, I think, poses another problem, which is, like you say, reporting.
Correct.
How can we come up with the right plans, the right ideas for what we need to research, what we need to work on, when we're not able to obtain the right data to help guide our decisions?
I agree.
And it comes down to the equity issue, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It always comes back to that.
Yeah. But again, that's one benefit I've noticed from this conference, and we often see it in the Trieste meeting for DNA tumour virology,
Okay.
is it's fantastic to talk to colleagues from Africa
Yeah.
and other parts of the world who I might not necessarily see at other conferences I go
Okay.
to actually learn about those lived experiences for how they're working with HPV, the
That's
challenges
amazing.
that they face that might be very different to the challenges in the UK
Yes.
in terms of HPV disease epidemiology, virology.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm going to really take home, and I've already got a load of contacts that I'm hopefully going to work with because of, because of this conference.
And the networking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Networking.
absolutely.
So I'm going to shout out to the Zimbabwean researchers in our language. So tinotenda siyabonga for all the research that you're carrying out in HPV. As you can see, we really need that.
One of the nice things about IPVC, going off of what you were saying about the accessibility of researchers from all these different
Exactly.
countries
Yes,
coming here,
it
and
comes back.
with the ambassador program, I really love how IPVS has chosen ambassadors from very passionate ambassadors from all these countries who are able to come to this conference, go back and really relay all the things that they've learned. They're it keeps their gears running. It just is a really nice way to be inclusive and make the research accessible.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up, because now it comes back. So I'm, as part of the International Papillomavirus Society, I'm co-directing the ambassador program.
Oh, that's so
Yeah, so I was like,
exciting.
I
I
wanted
love
to-
that program. Yeah, I've met
you.
some of the ambassadors and they're so sweet.
Yes. So that was also a highlight because we met today. So having that disciplinary, multi-geographic region representation. It's very important because we have the WHO mandate to accelerate the elimination of cervical cancer. So we know we have to vaccinate, we know we have to screen, and then we know that we have to treat. But the way you would do it in Southern Africa is very different from the way you would tackle it in the United States or here in the United Kingdom. So when you bring researchers from different geographic regions, then all these policies can be designed in such a way that it's relevant to everybody.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we've enjoyed from the ambassador program, just understanding the perspective from different countries. So thank you very much for that representation. Yeah, we're very excited about that. Yeah.